Hello and welcome to the final episode of Nobody Does It FK Metta here on Football Manager 2022. We are at the end of season 12. Once again we've won 2 trophies, but we're just going to quickly run through what we've done this season, and then the plan is to do a sim of at least 5 years, but I'm hoping to do 10, depends on the time I've got. But we'll sim ahead, see how the teams got on, see how the countries got on, and go from there. So without any further introductions, let's get right into it. So on the transfers in, I said I was going to spend some of the money that we had, and I have spent some of the money that we had. So we'll get off with the two least exciting players. So David Marshall, not that one, has joined from Man City. 2 appearances for us. We never registered for the league this season because of foreign player restraints, but he's a pretty decent little right back. He should serve the new manager well. Tyrell Malacia came in from Man United. He played most of the season. We wanted a better left back. He's 33. We spent a bit of money on him, but he's a good player. He's kind of what we really needed this year, I feel like. Facundo Bastos came in, a new goalkeeper, a Uruguayan, under 20 international, good solid goalkeeper. So he's the best keeper we have at the club now, and again for the next manager should set them up quite well. Now this signing I love, Carlos Jimenez from Independiente Medellin. Look at that, he's great. He's 22 years old. He should be a Colombian international. He will be soon. Very good player. We've brought him to play out on the wing. It does obviously show him as a midfielder centre in that stat page there, but he has been playing on the wing for us. On the right, he's been superb. And also superb is Farshad Hajazadeh, that's how you pronounce it, a Iranian international. PSG were interested in this guy, and we swiped underneath them and stole him for a pretty decent fee of 300,000 from Esteghlal. Good midfielder, just a really good, considering we play with a central midfielder and defend, I feel like this guy is perfect. And lastly, I know I didn't really need to buy a centre midfielder again, even though I just bought another one, but Pablo Alvarez, look at the state of him. Mexican international, only 22. We did spend a lot of money on this guy for our club, but he's a decent player, isn't he? Model citizen personality as well. Unreal. I can't wait for them to immediately sell him when we go. On the outs, nothing interesting. The only main things to note is that Petrov's, Panda and unfortunately Grimberg's have all ended their contracts with the club. Panda is an interesting one because I would have kept him, but he didn't want to sign a new deal because he wasn't playing as much. So we've let him go. Same with Petrov's and same with Grimberg's. We'll talk about all these guys obviously going forward, but Petrov's, very good player for us. Panda is literally a legend at the club, and he's went to Benfica. So, and Grimberg's, what more can you say about the legend himself? In the league, as you can see, we won the league quite convincingly. 2 of our draws came near the end of the season as well. We had this 1-1 draw against Latvia here, this 0-0 against the Galvpulse, I should probably say some of these names, and a Riga draw at the end of the season because we had to play them twice in 3 days. So we played a rotated side, but an easy league campaign. Salisu, 44 goals. Let's come back to that. We also won the Latvian Cup, pretty straightforward. I mean, again, Salisu, 7 goals. There's a bit of a trend here. And in the Champions League, we did get Inter Milan in the knockout round of the previous season, and we actually managed to get through on penalties against Inter with a 1-1 draw each leg. We then did get Real Madrid, and we somehow sneaked a 0-0 draw at home before unfortunately going down 4-1 at the Bernabeu. It was a great campaign though, quarter-finalists in the Champions League. I'll take that for our last year. For this season, we qualified by beating HJK, the New Saints and Young Boys quite convincingly across all those legs, and then we've had Tottenham, Feyenoord and RB Leipzig, and we have gone unbeaten. 4 wins, 2 draws, no losses. Can't really ask for much more than that. It's a pretty straightforward qualifying from that group. The finances, unfortunately, we cannot get above 3-star reputation, and we couldn't quite hit the 3,000 shirt sales either. But again, I'm happy with what we've done so far in the save with this team, and I'm really happy with that. Durand, by the way, one of our top shirt sellers. Interesting. So if we have a little look at players here, Panda is obviously gone, as is Grimberg's, but we can look at this, that's individually. Let's just start with the obvious one. So Paul Salisu, 22-year-old Nigerian. He played 50 games, 11 assists, 71 goals. 71 goals. He is the best player I have managed on this year's game. 90 league appearances, 109 goals in the league for us. He is 15 in the Champions League. He scores more goals per game than anywhere else. His XG was 33.6 in the league. That's ridiculous. An 8.12 rating in the league. He's just a machine. 2.1 million we paid for this guy, and they're probably going to bin him off for hardly anything because he's only worth like 2 million. Another player to talk about, of course, would be the legend Silva. 39 goals in 48 games for the Latvian international. 18 goals and 35 caps for Latvia, by the way. A beast. He will end our reign with 239 league goals in 313 games for the club. He is going downhill a bit now. I don't think he's long for this side, but if we look at Mr. Consistency here, after his 3rd season, he has not scored less than 23 goals in the league. He scores regularly regularly in Europe as well. An unbelievable player for us. I will miss Silva. Dejan Nikolov, a quiet season for him. 16 goals in the league, 3 in the Champions League. Probably is his worst season for us. We don't include this one because he was obviously a bit of a rotation option. It's just, I think Nikolov's time, if we were continuing, he'd probably be on the outs. As good as he is, I feel like he's probably done. Kevin Thompson got 10 goals and 15 assists in the over the campaign, and he's great. He's just really, really good. He's under contract for another 3 years. I'll be interested to see how these sort of guys end up going and like where they end up going, because I've got a feeling when we leave there'll be a bit of a fire sale. Talade with 10 assists as well. He's continuing to turn into a superb footballer. We talked about Jimenez and Alvarez and Hedges there. Dean Close had a really good year as well, continuing to turn into a really good player. He's now a Latvian international, so it'll be curious to see if he gets any caps for the national team. And yeah, if you look at the squad here, everybody who played regular football was over a 7. The only one who got under a 7 was David Zungu, who barely played once Malacia came in. Everybody else, superb. Gutierrez only conceded 9 goals this season. He's ridiculous, and half of them are in last season's Champions League. 4 goals conceded in 21 league games for Luis Gutierrez. And our other keeper as well, Facundo Bastos, 7 goals conceded in 15, 7 in the league. We do not concede many goals either, which is, I think, a foundation of a really strong defence and a really good midfield. I feel like I've built an excellent team here, and I'll be very curious to see how they get on. In the schedule, we talked about obviously the Champions League from last season, but if we just have a quick scroll up, as you can see, 1-1 and then a 1-1. Oh, sorry, we won 3-1 in the second leg. What? I thought we won on penalties, won in extra time. That didn't show in this season review for some reason. Oh well, we beat Inter. And then I said we did lose to Real Madrid. We were in the game for a while, but they are a better team. Look at some of the players they've got, And then in the league we just, annihilated everyone for another unbeaten season. The finances still well over 100 million. They're projected to go down a bit, but that's not an issue for them. They'll be fine. The club vision, we're a legend at this club. If we even look at this here, Silva, Panda, Nikolov, Salusu and myself. Grimbergs just couldn't quite get into the legend status. He did have a very quiet season for us this year, but just couldn't quite do it. It's a real shame. I feel like Grimberg should be a legend, but to have Silva, Panda, Nikolov and Salisu as some of our legends along with us is really, really nice to see. Panda, I can't believe he's got to Benfica. Like, that's quite amazing actually. But I thought he would have went back to Brazil, but he's went to Benfica. He had a really good season, by the way. 14 assists in the league for us this year. He's still a very good player. I know it's not really relevant for us anymore, but the youth intake was absolutely rubbish. The best player was Alex Petersons, who is, could be okay, but yeah, it was all rubbish. And then just for the usual checks as well, we're just kind of hammering through this last part of the season. The league table from last year, Riga, Liepāja and RFS. I have already checked this and they all did poor. Knockout rounds, third qualifying round for Riga, third qualifying round for Liepāja and third qualifying round for RFS. Now this season we have managed to get our spots back, and we've actually got better qualifying as well. We've got a Europa League spot as well, so Riga have nabbed that. RFS haven't qualified for Europe this year, so Supernova and Valmiera will be the new teams to keep an eye on as I look forward. The league as well has shot up to 23rd overall. I'm delighted with that as an end result for this save after 12 seasons. 23rd best league in the world, in Europe, and we are currently the 19th best team in Europe as well based off the coefficient, but again I would imagine that will start to go up. We should hopefully rise to top 15, I would think, once the season has finished. We will however not be there for that anymore, I'm afraid. We're not even going to bother reading these news articles because we are going to be ending the save here. So let's resign as manager, shall we? And they tried to put up a little bit of a fight, but we have decided to leave the club. And if we just quickly sim through all of this news, there we go, confirmation of our resignation. They'd like to acknowledge our high quality performance level while managing here, and oh my god, the staff have walked out en masse behind me. Colo Turi's left with me. Thank you, Colo, we love you too. But yeah, we've quit the position. We have nailed it really this year. 11 league titles, 9 cup competition wins, including a Europa League in our time here. Yeah, it's been outstanding. Some of the guys to take over, Alexander Frey is a contender for us, the Swiss player. This guy looks actually pretty decent. The ex-Partizan manager, if he takes over it, they should be able to continue winning things. But the plan now, I am going to end this part of the episode here. I am going to edit this all down into more condensed footage, and I'm going to hit the holiday mode for the game for at least 5 seasons, hopefully 10, depending on how quick it goes on my computer. And I'll be back with you guys in just a second to talk about what's happened going forward. And we are back a little bit earlier than expected. I'm coming back on the 1st of July 2037, so about 4.5 or so years after we left the club for a variety of reasons. So the main ones being, I got until like the 19th of July 2037 and the game just basically held for 30 minutes without changing dates. So I thought, screw it, hard reset the game and we'll just see where the last autosave was. It was the 1st of July, so we've actually only lost 18 days. But we're just going to come back now, get this done, because it is now the 19th of October and there are rumours that the Football Manager 23 beta is coming out. So this video is actually coming out, well, you'll have seen it. It's coming out on the Thursday rather than the Friday as planned, just in case the beta does come out. So 4.5 years later, as we can have a look and see at Meta's main homepage here, they are up to a 3.5-star reputation club and the Stojanovic manager is still in place. The legends are still the same, other than Silva has actually dropped out of the legend status, which is a bit of a shame. And they are now on 15 league titles, 10 cup wins, so they have won trophies since we left, obviously. The main page I'm interested in is the transfers page to basically see what players they've sold that we had brought in. So we had none of these guys. A couple here. So Facundo Bustos, the keeper we brought in, has gone to PSG for just under 10 million, which, come on guys, he's worth more. Look how much he's worth now. 87 to 261. Oh, you idiots. And Diego Acevedo has also gone to Rayo Vallecano. He's, had a good career for us. He was a good player. 1.9 million, so we made some profit on that guy as well. And one of the sad ones is that Silva has actually gone, but the good news is he's went for just under $1 million and he's gone to Riga, which is interesting. Now, what I don't understand though is what the hell has happened here. So he's currently got makeshift defender, makeshift central midfielder, left wing, right midfield, and accomplished at right wing. Why on earth are they playing a guy with 4 crossing on the wing? This happened at Metta, by the way, because he was there at Metta not scoring goals. Like, we left and he just didn't score goals ever again, which they seem to have been playing him on the right hand side. Why? I have no idea. But he's gone to Riga. He's actually gone to RFS now as well. So he stayed in Latvia. He's still great for the national team. 63 caps, 22 goals. He's, a legend at the club. As much as the game says he's not a legend, he's a legend at the club. 32 years old now. I'd love to see this guy as a manager in Latvia one day. This is very, very slow, by the way, play. This is ridiculous. Some other outs. David Marshall went to Kilmarnock not long after we left the club. And Luis Gutierrez is now a Latvia international, by the way. He finally decided to play for Latvia, 24 cap. He went to Deportes Condillo, and yeah, a bit of a shame. And then the one that's really annoyed me the most, to be honest, when the game actually does load, is after we left. Look, they sold half my team. Marlon Hurtado, 2.9 million to Al Ali. Why? Farsad went to, look at this, right? So Farsad, we brought him in for 300,000. 2 years later, he went to Bayern for 1.9 million, and he was at Real Madrid for 68 million. We had incredible players. Look how good he is. Look at this. Look at the physical stats. Look at the mental stats. He's so good. And they sold him for 1.9 million. What's wrong with this game? This game is stupid. And Pablo Alvarez also left 10.25 million. He's now at Bayern, so let's see how much he went for. 41.5 million. So again, the new manager has come in and immediately sold off some of our best players who have gone on to be world-class players across Europe at the major teams. I mean, this guy's like unreal, and they got rid of him for that little amount of money. But if we have a look at all of the European options they can have, so our last season was this one here. We finished with the 2-2 draw against Tottenham. That was our final game in charge. After that, they got knocked out by PSG and then proceeded to not get through the group stage, but at least they got straight into the group stage that year. Following year, Europa League, they got annihilated by Lille in the Europa League first knockout round. Again, got into the Champions League group stages, but only picked up 2 points. To be fair, that group is pretty rough. I mean, that's a pretty bad group to be drawn in. And then again, they managed to get all the way through the qualifying. The qualifying seems to have been longer and longer on a year-by-year basis, it seems like. But they picked up 6 points in this group with a win against Atletico and Lazio, but didn't get through. Sorry, they did get through. And then they beat Olympiacos before succumbing to Monaco in the Europa League. And then again, qualified for the Champions League group stages with only 1 win in 5 games against Fenerbahce. So no more European games as of yet. They're in the Champions League qualifying rounds again. But at least they're a consistent Champions League group stage team now, Meta. That's what we mainly wanted. So this was our final season in charge with the 102 points and 140 goals. Let's see how the league has gone every year since. So they won the league again with 2 draws and 2 losses. Only 89 goals scored though, guys. That's pretty poor if I have to say myself. And then 3 losses in this season, but 97 points, 94 goals. Again, keeping the against numbers very low. 16, 19, 16 of 102 goals scored in this season. 101 points, only 1 defeat. Another only 1 defeat season, and they're currently top of the table with 19 wins from 23 2022. So yeah, the league dominance is still there. If we have a look at the teams that are hanging around, one of the main things I did notice actually was not long after we left, if we can find it, Latvia got relegated. Yeah, only a couple of years after we left, Latvia went down. They're back up now, so that's fine. But there's only two real teams to mention here, which I think is Riga and RFS. So let's have a look at how those guys have got on. So in the first year after that we left, they got into the Europa League playoff, but did lose to Antwerp, and then proceeded to pick up 7 points in their Europa Conference League group, which it's not terrible, I have to say. 2034 they got back into the Conference League after getting straight away knocked out the Champions League qualifiers, getting to the Europa League playoff before losing on aggregate to Powerhouse, and then they only picked up 5 points in their group, which is pretty poor when you look at the teams that were in there. The following year, much better season. They got all the way to the Champions League second qualifying round, and then managed to get into the Europa League proper group stages and picked up 4 points, a point against Napoli, and it's a pretty tough group that, to be fair, so to get 4 points isn't embarrassing. And then they proceeded to immediately chuck it this past year by not even getting into the Conference League group stages, and they're qualifying again. So RFS, as we know, didn't even qualify for Europe the season after we left. They did get into here though, and they got into the Europa League playoff immediately before losing to Sparta Prague and only picking up 1 win in their Conference League group against CFR Cluj. Following year, couldn't even get past Linfield, guys, come on. And then, yeah, even worse. Yep, so but on RFS, you've contributed absolutely nothing to the cause. And then the thing is, the other teams, it's all kind of been a bit random, so I'm not going to go through like every club's European history, but we'll quickly talk about the league status. The league is currently in 20th position. It did get up to 18th in 2036. Of course, we left it in, I believe, 22nd, I believe we left it in, 24th, 22nd. Got up to 18th, but a couple poor seasons in Europe from everyone but Metta, and even Metta to an extent, has left them down at this stage here. One thing we can also see is that Paul Salisu is the top goal scorer in the league. He's still at the club, which is surprising. Not been as prolific, but still been very good. This is his best season in a while in terms of goals per game, it looks like, but he's still a beast. He's still got a great goals return for the club as well. If we have a look at the squad quickly, let's just have a look, see what players they've got hanging around. So Aspa is still there. He's wanted currently by Tukums, so that'd be good if he goes there, I think. Dean Close is still there and is now a Latvian international with 15 caps. Kevin Thompson is still there. He's worth a bit of money. I'm surprised he's still there that many years later, because he's a very good player, but he's still there. Carlos Jimenez is still there, which is also surprising. Taladi is also surprising that he's still there. 40 caps for South Africa now, 27. Dejan Nikolov is still there at 29 years old. 57 caps for North Macedonia. Have a little look at how he's got on. You know, he's stuttered. He's stuttering nowadays. He's not quite hitting the heights he was getting in the last couple of years before we left, but he's still a very good football player. I mean, he's going to score you goals regardless. And Gor Karpatyan is also still there. We almost sold this guy to Chelsea back in the day. He's still hanging around, which is nice to see. And if we have a look at the coefficient, let's see how far Metta have fallen since we left. They're down to 39th. Yep, they've gone way down. I can actually find the Latvian teams and see where those guys are. So there you go. Metta 39th, Riga 124th, and then it's pretty much a downhill. As you can see, it looks like Valmiera, Ventspils, Auda, Daugavpils, Spartaks and Supernova pretty much did nothing in any of their European campaigns. It's a shame. Again, I'd like to have gone more than this, but the game's running so slow now. This is what happens when you get this far into a game. It's why I'm just doing them season by season. So that's going to do it for the save. Thank you very much for watching. If you've been here since episode 1, if you've joined at any point, if this is your first episode, thank you so much. I know the viewing might be quite low on this because I'm potentially releasing this on the same day the beta might come out for the new game, but if you have watched it, thank you very much. And I'll see you guys for the new Building a Nation in Iceland on Football Manager 23. There will be an episode 0 to start with. I will be releasing that hopefully not long after the beta comes out, where I will just be setting up the game, showing you how I set it up and like my manager and things like that, and then we'll talk about the team we're managing and the goals for the save. But thanks very much for watching this save. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you've put up with my voice for the long time that you have, and I'll see you guys on Football Manager 2023, hopefully ASAP. Goodbye.